How's it going, you guys? So in this video I'm going to be discussing reishi mushroom and its potential to lower DHT levels or to inhibit 5-alpha reductase, and essentially its potential to feminize men is what a lot of people tend to claim. So first of all, this effect of reishi mushroom lowering DHT or inhibiting DHT essentially is never been shown in humans, okay? In fact, most of the studies done on reishi mushroom in humans have shown no effect in hormones, other than one study done on trained athletes. Okay, these are high-level endurance athletes who are extremely prone to what they call overtraining syndrome, and basically taking a concentrated extract of Cordyceps mixed with reishi mushroom actually showed an increase in testosterone and a decrease in cortisol, which is a sign of enhanced recovery and basically steroid use. That's usually why they take anabolic steroids in sports that are not meant for like bodybuilding or whatever. Like MMA athletes and whatnot, generally when they take steroids, a lot of it has to do with increasing their ability to recover. And that's one of the methods of increasing recovery through performance-enhancing drugs, is decreasing cortisol and increasing testosterone so they recover faster, there's less catabolism, and there is more energy to spend training faster, basically. So, pretty much the only study done on reishi mushroom in humans that actually showed a significant change in hormone levels actually showed increased testosterone and decreased cortisol. So that is definitely a benefit as far as male hormones are concerned, sexual performance is concerned, and just androgenic hormone profiles in general. So, and for those who don't know, DHT is basically a hormone that's responsible for aggression, it's responsible for good mood and energy and drive, and it's also responsible for your sex drive. So, let's see, what else? So, typically the most compelling evidence that exists for reishi mushroom's potential as a DHT inhibitor is in rats, basically. But obviously humans are not rats. There's a lot of things that have been shown in rats that don't equate to humans, mostly pertaining to food and medicinal herbs and things like that. So how about sexual function and things like that? So here's the kicker. So most people take reishi mushroom to restore their energy levels through reducing stress, through regulating the immune function, and also restoring things like sleep. And after a while of taking reishi, it tends to boost your energy overall. Most people, but not everybody, experiences a decrease in anxiety. That's probably one of the biggest benefits of reishi mushroom, is a decrease in anxiety and stress. A lot of people, they experience a decrease in depressive symptoms and an increase in good mood. So there are quite a few people who report reishi mushroom lowering their sex drive. But that is not a consistent thing that always happens with all reishi mushroom extracts to everybody. Now, I personally have noticed it seems like I have more like nostalgia and more like loving memories, and I feel more loving when I take reishi. It seems. Like I am more prone to depressive memories, mostly memories about like my ex-girlfriend and like how I should have appreciated her more or something. And, thinking about that gives me feelings of grief and loss. And obviously, nobody wants to feel grief and loss, right? But is that due to DHT and hormone levels, or is that something else? Maybe that's one of its mechanisms of enlightenment that has been touted for thousands of years. Who knows? But as far as, and then here's the other angle I want to take this, is that, and I mentioned this before in my other videos on reishi mushroom. So if reishi was such a potent inhibitor of DHT, well, for one, I'd be growing more hair out. So tune in with me for another year to see if my hair starts growing back, right? Because one of the most potent mechanisms of regrowing hair is actually through inhibiting DHT. That's what the drug finasteride is for. The thing is, when you take finasteride, you experience some very substantial, severe negative consequences, negative side effects. And these same side effects, you don't actually see them when you take reishi mushroom. At least not to the extent that you do with finasteride, which is a clinically used pharmaceutical drug aimed at lowering DHT. Another thing is in the hair loss community, which if you Google search, there's forums and Reddit, subreddits and things, all dedicated to regrowing hair, and inhibiting DHT is a huge target for them, a huge topic of discussion. And there was one post that I found where somebody was determined to use reishi mushroom to regrow their hair and inhibit DHT. And people kept telling them just use finasteride if that's the goal. But he insisted on using the natural, safe means, and he was reporting back, and there was no substantial gains. He had no pictures to show hair growth. After a couple weeks, he just stopped following up, and people kept asking him, coming back years later, asking questions. Hey, what happened? So basically, there's not a lot of success in the hair regrowth community using reishi mushroom. So what that tells me is that if reishi mushroom was such a potent inhibitor of DHT, the way people talk about it, then we would see a lot more people claiming reishi helps regrow hair, which we don't see. And obviously this DHT lowering effect would be talked about a lot more amongst people who actually use reishi. So here's the thing. People who are crying about reishi mushroom lowering DHT, 9 times out of 10 it is somebody who does not actually use reishi, or else if they do use it or they have used it, they didn't use it very long. They're pretty new to it. New meaning under 6 months of consistent use. So one more thing I wanted to mention. So another thing I want to mention is that I have seen at least 5 blood tests from people who are on reishi mushroom for longer than a couple months, and they all insist that reishi increased their free testosterone substantially. So, and one of them happens to be Brandon Gilbert, the founder of Hyperion Herbs, who makes one of the best reishi extracts on the market. Now, this guy did actually post his blood work online, but it was back in like 2011, 2012, and it was like a PDF file, and I don't know if that's still, that link still works, but it was in the description of one of his videos. I don't even know if he still has a video up. But his free testosterone went from like 500 all the way up to like 900 or more, which is like at the very, very high of the free testosterone range. I think it was like 960 something. And I've seen other people who got it up to like 10,000, 20 something, and I've seen some crazy numbers on people with reishi. So reishi, like from anecdotal reports, and obviously that study I mentioned earlier in trained athletes, not untrained athletes, trained athletes, which is way more substantial than untrained. it seems like reishi does actually increase free testosterone. So more free testosterone is a good thing. Total testosterone bound up by sex hormone binding globulin is not a good thing. And testosterone getting converted into DHT could be good or bad depending on what you want to look at it, how you want to look at it. But free testosterone is obviously a good thing. Lots of free testosterone. So, yeah, and the biggest thing is most people who've been using reishi long term, they don't say that, oh, it killed my sex drive or something like that. But the thing is, there are a lot of people who mention that. So if you experience negative side effects of reishi, okay, now remember, if you are like worried about DHT being inhibited, okay, you're like, oh, reishi is going to kill my sex drive. What you're going to do is you're actually going to create that effect just by expecting it. The nocebo effect is very real, and I experienced it with things like caffeine and coffee and stuff for a very long time. Vegans experience that when they, if they eat meat or whatever, they're scared of like dying of a heart attack right away. And I can't even begin to tell you how many kooky things people say up in my inbox that seem to be like them noceboing themselves, like oh, I took reishi or I took cordyceps and my hand shrunk or something like that. Like, what the fuck? Your hand shrunk from taking cordyceps within a couple days? Yeah, it sounds psychosomatic. Anyway, so you got to be really careful when you are reading some of these studies done on rats or done in a test tube that have not been proven in humans, or even if you read an anecdotal report online of somebody like killing their sex drive when they take reishi. Because everybody's different, and reishi mushroom has some life-changing benefits for the majority of people who take it, and those who experience negative side effects are usually in the minority. But it's likely that as these herbs get more popular, you'll see more and more people report negative side effects. So, my recommendation is, and really be cautious when you are hearing information from like people who are trying to sell supplements. Like, so many people will message me in my DMs or leave comments warning me of some kind of doomsday health information that they think is like a secret that they learned from like a charlatan, like Dr. Berg or like Christopher Walker or one of these other people who have this specific line of supplements that they're selling, and they don't want you to be like taking, you know, some of these other supplements that really work, right? Anyway, yeah, it's and so when you hear anecdotes from other people about how an herb did something to them, it doesn't mean it's going to do the same thing for you. It's better you don't nocebo yourself. You want to give it a try. You want to give it like 4 weeks at a clinically significant dose, and if there's benefits, then great. You know, if it enhances your life, then it doesn't freaking matter if it inhibited DHT in a fucking rat study. Especially considering it's been used for thousands of years as a longevity tonic to boost health, it's chemopreventative and used as a tool against cancer. Most of the traditional use has been for extending lifespan and becoming healthier, stronger, and more vigorous. So it's unlikely that it's going to produce some kind of negative consequence on your health, especially, you know, some finding they found in a rat study. So there's really no reason to be like crying and worried about reishi or any, these herbs with such a long traditional use of like killing your libido or like killing your hormone levels or anything, unless you experience like a consistent side effect like that every time you take it, but you take it for a long time. Because if you're not giving an herb like this that's meant to be taken over the long term, at least 4 weeks to work its magic, you're not taking, you know, a clinically significant dose, you know, or you're taking a low quality extract, like a lot of people are. then you really don't know what effect it's going to have on you. If you experience like you can't sleep when you take Cordyceps for the first week, that happened to me too. It happens to a lot of people when they take a potent extract. After a while, that effect goes away and starts to actually benefit your sleep. So, but you know what though, I'm not telling people to avoid their own experience either. Because again, everybody's, people will respond differently. And there are a lot of people, including myself, who have found that certain extracts of reishi seem to kill libido, or they seem to, increase depression and stuff like that. So you really have to give it a thorough trial and error, and don't just like freak out every time you see someone say, "Oh my God, this herb can kill your dip gains," or don't freak out when you see like a doctor like, "Oh my God, like fructose will destroy your liver," really, like the reason why so many people claim health is confusing is because they hear these buzzwords or these claims or whatever, and they get emotionally triggered by it. Like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die like if I eat fruit," or "I'm gonna die if I eat saturated fat," or I'm gonna like die if I take reishi because this rat study said it inhibits DHT by up to 80% in a test tube study. So if it makes you feel good, keep taking it. If it makes you feel bad after a while of really giving it a good run, then stop taking it, or maybe try lowering the dose. And one more thing I want to say is that there's a reason why reishi mushroom is usually taken alongside cordyceps. It's because reishi, it has a more yin quality. Generally, it relaxes you. It makes you want to go to sleep. It kind of like restores your ability to relax, and it enlightens you to an extent, so to speak. Whereas cordyceps increases your energy directly. It increases your sexual potency. It increases your athletic vigor, and it energizes you. So cordyceps is like the other side. It's like the shadow of reishi. Actually, So it's good to take cordyceps in the morning and then reishi at night, because they kind of balance each other out in that type of conducive way. And if you experience lowering of libido on reishi, you could take some cordyceps to help increase that sexual energy, and you'll find that you get way more benefit from taking them both versus taking one or the other. Because cordyceps by itself tends to make people too hyped, too energetic. Reishi by itself, for me at least, seems to make me a little bit too chill after a while. So I take them both. But so hopefully this has been informative. Just chill out. And if it's working for you, then great. There's no reason to freak out unless you're just experiencing like tremendous side effects for a long period of time. Okay, but do what you feel like. Do what you feel is best for you, and leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know your experiences, and I'll talk to y'all next time.